Hey everybody, what's up? All right, so we're going to do a video right now or training session on the virtual trunking protocol. Now, in the CCNA certification, the 200-301, they decided, oh, it's too dangerous. We can't have VTP on there. It's just turn it off. Just turn it off. VTP, don't use it. But again, when you get to the CCNP core, they talk about it. When you get to the NRC, they talk about it. And now, apparently, for some, I don't know, for some reason, it's become like a big thing on LinkedIn. Everybody's putting stuff about VTP. So, hey, let me put my 2 cents in there as well, since I've been talking about VTP since day one. Okay. And I teach it since day one. All right. Just because the certification tells you we're not doing it doesn't mean that everybody out there is not dealing with this situation. So it's not hard. I like the VTP. As a matter of fact, it cuts your work in half, maintains your whole layer 2 environment, is consistent with that. And when I took my CCNA back in the day, one of my simulations was actually VTP. All right. I know what you're saying. Laz, bro, we're not in the Flintstones days anymore. Okay. This is new and, newer technology. You have AI. You don't have to worry about that. Not everybody's using that. Okay. We still have people using Windows 95. You'd be lucky. You may see DOS out there still. All right. So anyway, let's get to it. So I can share my screen now. Okay. So I got my second monitor. So now here is the actual normal topology that you're going to see with VTP. Now I have done absolutely nothing but connect these switches, 2960 switches. And if you look at it, one of the things I don't like, because when you're dealing with VTP, let me get my face back in here. That is a little bit of my face. Is that good enough right there? Yeah, that's good enough. One of the things with VTP, you got to make a decision who's going to be your server switch and who's going to be your client switch, right? There's another, those are modes in VTP. And then obviously you have transparent. That's normally your remote switch, your remote network, because it doesn't accept or give out any VTP updates, it just passes it on through. So your server switch is usually your beefiest switch, your stronger switch. In the topology, obviously this is the packet tracer. They're all the same. So I like using the top switch to be the root bridge. Right? And right now it is not. Let me show you. Right now it is not, because you got this amber light right there, which in the packet tracer is easy to know. So an amber light cannot be facing a switch. So that means that this is not the root bridge. He is not the root bridge because, this amber light here is facing this guy right here. So he's not it. And he's not it. So the root bridge is this guy, and I'll prove it. All right. And just do show spanning tree. Not show spanning tree VLAN 1. That's the only freaking VLAN that exists. Oh, not there. Haha. Enable. Show spanning tree. There we go. Hit enter. And then let's maximize that. This is the root bridge. There you go. So I don't want that to be the root bridge. I want this to be my root bridge for the lab purpose. All right. Lab purposes. Because they're all the same. All right. So I'm going to come here. The first thing I like to do, right? Well, obviously, let's give it a name. Let's just call it what it says in the upper left-hand corner, which is switch 0. So I'm going to do enable, config T. Whoa. New keyboard. Config T, host name, SW0. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do this spanning tree, VLAN 1, comma, because I know the VLANs that I'm going to create, 10, comma, not space, no spaces, 10, comma, 20. Well, we'll do it the way of the certification. Root primary. All right, do WR, which is the same thing as copy run start. Okay, the same thing. Let's fast forward through time. That's what I like about the packet tracer. So now this switch on top here, switch 0, becomes the root bridge. Yes, let's look at it. Do show spanning tree. The only reason I don't like doing it up here because I gotta type the whole thing out. All right, and then this is now my root bridge. Awesome. So now we're ready to go. So this will be my server switch. And if you look at it, let's do a do show VTP stats. Let's take a look at that. All switches by default are server switches. They're all server switches. As per Cisco, you want one server switch, the rest clients. Now, back in the old CCNP, when you did the switch, one of the even when you talked about routing, they kind of didn't like for you to do, if you're going to do this, they don't want VLANs going throughout the entire network. So you would do it in blocks. But well, the whole purpose is like, yeah, you want to be able to go to one switch, tell it, hey, these are my VLANs, or add a VLAN, and let it propagate down. It just makes life a whole lot easier, but you can control that. You can control that. All right. So, all right. So one of the things you don't have to be too concerned the version that you're running. All right. What you do need to be concerned with is the revision number. The higher revision, let me get my face back in here. The higher the revision number, the more believable the information. So you got server switches by default talking to each other. They're sending and receiving updates from each other, right? BTP updates. Who do they believe? Who has the latest and greatest? That configuration revision number is what is going to tell you, hey, I have the latest and greatest information. Oh, okay. So this is where they talk about that it's dangerous. Because if and that was my scenario. Hey, that wasn't the scenario. That was a written scenario of what could happen if somebody, I don't know who would do this, if somebody would take out a production switch that's right now working, take it, redo the VLANs, that's going to increase the revision number, and with the same VTP domain and the same VTP password, and put it back in. Well, obviously that raised the revision number to something higher. So all the other switches are saying, hey man, he's got it all. He knows it. So we're going to believe him. So he wipes out all your VLANs. No. First and foremost, that was a bogus friggin' thing anyway, because in order to create VLANs, you need to be in server mode, not client mode. And the simulation or the question says, oh, well, they put it back to client mode. No. I don't think they even said that they switched it to server mode, because if you did, you would null out the revision number to 0. All right, you null it out. So that's just BS right there. If one server switch, the rest clients. So in order to stop somebody from creating VLAN, one of the things you can do, Cisco related, is turn it into a client switch. If it's a client switch, you cannot mess with the VLAN database. You cannot change. You cannot change, create, or delete VLANs. You can't do it. So there's no danger. But there's that revision number that they're all scared about. All right, so no need to be scared. You'll be all right. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a VTP domain name. You know me by now. So I'm going to do VTP domain Tarzan. You know I always use Tarzan. Those have been with me for a while, right? I'm going to do a do WR, and I'm going to do a do show VTP stat. And there we go. Now I'm in the Tarzan domain. It's a security feature. So if you want information, you all have to be in my domain, my Tarzan domain. But that's not really true, because if you plug in a switch and you just have a domain name, it's going to propagate down regardless. So you need a VTP password. All right, so let's put one in there. All right, VTP password. And I've always said this, you know me, Mango. Obviously, you're not going to do this in a real scenario calling it Tarzan and Mango. Okay, you're not going to do that. This is a lab, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lab. All right. So can we see that? Do WR. Do show VTP stat. All right. No, you can't see that from there. How would you see that then, that it's there? Do show VTP password. How about that? Mango. Now I know there's people out there saying, I got to get my face in here. Got to get my face in here. I know there's somebody out there saying, that's a security risk, man. If you tell me that you can type do show VTP password or show VTP password, that somebody will be able to see it, well, there you go, man. That's a problem. Well, that's a problem as far as IT skills, period. Where's your switch? Who are you allowing to be able to connect to a switch, first of all, first and foremost? That's number one. Because I'm counseled in, right? So you're allowing people to telnet or SSH into your friggin' switch for them to be able to type that? Who knows how to type that? Is somebody studying for the CCNA, so they just wanted to in their job do that, and you allowing this person to do this? Come on now. Let's know. So there's other security measures that you need to take so people don't type show VTP password. All right. All right. So what have we done? Let me go back in here. Boom. All right. So we got the domain name, right? We got the VTP password. We know that this is the root bridge already. So now let's create the VLANs, right? Let's do a do show VLAN brief. Okay. Cool. That's only one freaking VLAN. Okay. One VLAN. That's it. I don't want that. I want to create other VLANs. All right. So I'm going to create the VLANs that are going to be propagated down to my client switches. So I'm going to create, let's see, VLAN 10. That's what I put. Name, accounting. VLAN 20. Name, sales. Awesome. Do WR. Do show VLAN brief. There you go. There's our accounting and sales VLAN. I'm not going to assign it to any port. I am not going to assign it to any port on the root bridge. This is my core switch. All right. This is my core switch. Switch 0. I'm going to assign them there. I want these to propagate down, but they're not going to still because they need to go down through trunk ports. So I need to trunk this port 22 and this port 23. So if you're wondering, man, why is Last doing port 21, 22, 23? There's a method to the madness because I can just create a range, right? Why would I want to skip like in these colleges and universities that I've seen them? I mean, I tutor students and it's like, yeah, well, this switch, you're going to use port F01 and this one you use F011 and this one is F02. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you confusing people? Just make it easy. They're trying to learn a concept. Now we're going to friggin' plug it in, but, make it make sense. So 22 and 23, just make it easy on yourself. We need to trunk those ports in order for them to propagate down. That's the last thing we're going to do. So I got to go into interface. So let me exit out of here. I'm going to do interface range because I can. Interface range. What was it? I forgot just F0/22-23, I think. Yeah, we're going to do switch port mode trunk. Now I can get away with this command here because this is a simple layer 2 switch. It would be a layer 3 switch. It would be 2 different commands. Unless you're using a 3650, it would be the same command again. All right, let's take a look at it. Showing trunk. Cool. And now we're using 8021Q trunking. Awesome. And then that'll propagate down. You can see packet trace is going insane. We're going to fast forward through time. Now I want to go down here to the switch. So I've done everything up here. Let me put my face back in there. Boom. All right, so I've already done everything on the top switch. Everything's done on the top switch. It's the root bridge. It's the VTP server. I created the VLANs. I trunked the ports. Done. Now I'm going to come down here as far as VTP is concerned, okay? I'm going to come down here and I didn't do any encryption or anything like that. Just basic VTP stuff. I'm going to come down here to switch 1. These 2 down here are going to be my client switches. So one of the first things I'm going to do is turn it into a client switch. And then I'm going to put it in the domain that it should be, which is VTP domain Tarzan, because nothing's going to come down until I type that password. So let's do it. Oh, wait a minute. Here, boom. Let's go. All right, so this is switch 1, enable, CompT. Start typing names of your devices, please, so you know where you're at. Host name, SW1. All right, so the first thing is VTP mode, client. All right, so now it's setting the device to VTP client mode. Lovely. Now I want to do VTP password Mango. It said VTP password cannot be set from null to domain. Why? Because this is the packet tracer, and packet tracer has its little issues. All right, it takes time sometimes for it to do what it's got to do. So I fast forward through time like a billion times. Come back in here. That's just the way it is. Okay, and go back to global configuration. I was maximized. Let me maximize again. And let's do the same command again. Can I up arrow? No, of course not. VTP password Mango. Hey, look, it changed it now. All right, so let's take a look. So I put it in the same domain. All right, let's do show do show VTP stat. So now you see that Tarzan, I am a client, and if I want to, and you can see that my VLANs are not 5, they're 7. That means 2 of them came down. And then here, you go my revision number. Okay, right here is 4. And then I want to say show, what am I doing? Oh, the password. Show VTP password. Do show. Jesus. Control A. Do show. There is Mango. So now let's take a look at the VLANs. Do show VLAN brief. And there are my VLANs. That's the whole thing with VTP. That's cool. So I can go anywhere and now I can just freaking type, create the VLAN and let it propagate down. Now, let's say in switch 1, if I wanted to, I can go into port 10, let's say, or VLAN 10. Interface F0/10. All right, let me get this out of the way. Switch port mode access. Switch, whoops, I like to tab a lot. So switch port mode access VLAN 10. All right, let's save that. Okay, let's take a look at it. Show VLAN brief. All right, and there is VLAN 10 already assigned to port 10. Okay, so now one last thing just to prove to you that since this is a client, I cannot create whatever VLAN I feel like it. It's not going to happen. All right, so if I come in here and I go config T, I'm going to say VLAN 100. Say, yeah, no, I don't think so. Can't do it. You're in client mode. This is the whole point of VTP. That right there is the whole point of VTP. That one is the server switch and the other one is the client. Let me give you a little real quick explanation. Server switches talk to each other. They send each other updates. Again, it's a revision number that says who has the latest and greatest information. Client mode sends and receives as well, but it can't mess with the VLAN database. Server switches can mess with the VLAN database. Client switches cannot. So you got both server and client that send each other updates. The server switches mess with the database. The client switches cannot mess with the database. You just saw it. Okay. And one of the last modes, because there is a mode off, but don't worry about that. The transparent mode. Transparent mode, I call it the greedy one. So it doesn't share its VLAN database with anybody else out there. So whatever VLANs you create on that particular network, it's not going to propagate it out to anybody else. And if anybody sends it, it could be a server, it could be a client. Well, it's not. It's transparent. All right. It can send and receive if it wanted to, but it doesn't. You're blocking all that. Okay. You can do everything, but it's greedy. It won't send it out. And then the server switches or the other client switches, when they send their VLAN database information towards that switch that's in transparent mode, it'll just forward it out all the other ports. It doesn't care. It doesn't put it in its VLAN database at all. So that's why transparent mode is left for remote networks. So VTP is not the scary monster that everybody thinks. It's something simple. It's something that helps. And it's something that's still in your certification when you get to the CCNP core, when you get to the CCNP NRC and other CCNP designations. It's there. And when you get to the real world, what? You think that everybody is in the spine and leaf architecture, using software design networks with the Cisco SDM, and no, not everybody is. People are still using layer 2 switches. They're still dealing with span tree. Span tree is going away according to your CCNA 200-301, right? They've been doing this already. Layer 3 Ether channel, all that good stuff. So VTP is still in the works. You need to know it. It's not bad. It's easy to work with. Don't let the book scare you. Turn it off. Don't let it scare you. You have to learn how to use VTP. But with me, you'll get all that and more. I'll see you in the next one.